Every hiker and backpacker dreams about finding that perfect fitting boot or shoe, even though deep down we all know it doesn't really exist. Even the best fitting footwear can leave a little bit of want for fine tuning. Luckily, there are a number of easy lacing techniques that can be used to improve fit and hold your foot in its proper position. Keep in mind that everyone's feet are different sizes, different volumes, so no one lacing technique is going to work for everyone. If you've got low arches or a low volume foot, there's techniques that can be used to apply supportive pressure across the top of the foot. But that same technique won't work if you've got high arches or a high volume foot. In fact, that can actually apply too much pressure or even restrict circulation. The good news is there are other techniques that can be used to address that concern. Here are a few easy lacing techniques to improve fit and increase comfort. Though it isn't traditionally used in boot lacing, a general double overhand knot can be a really valuable problem solver. Start by lacing your boots as you normally would, and you reach the point at which you'd like to position the double overhand knot, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. Cross the laces, bring one underneath, bring it underneath again, and then pull outwards to tighten. You create a lock lace, more or less, that allows you then to tension the lacing above or in the upper part of the boot differently than in the lower part. You can position that double overhand knot down near the base of the laces. You can lock it in above the ankle. You can position it anywhere where you find it most comfortable to have different tension below or above. Once you're comfortable using the double overhand knot, you've got options. Oftentimes backpackers or hikers will blame ill-fitting boots for soreness or blisters. And it's not always because they're in the wrong size, but perhaps there's just a little bit too much or too little space for that perfect fit. By using lacing techniques to secure your ankle to the back of the boot, you can alleviate soreness and cut down on undue rubbing. Start with that double overhand knot so that you're locking off tension to the lower part of the foot. Leave a little slack, make sure that you aren't applying undue pressure to the toes. And then as you go back to lacing, rather than crisscrossing in a traditional manner, bring the laces along the perimeter. Feed them through the eyelets or however your lacing is on your boot until you've reached that highest eyelet. At that point, bring the laces back across the front of the boot and feed the lace beneath the lacing on the other side. As you pull those tight, you'll see that you've created kind of a webbed matrix here across the front of the boot. And as I tighten that really snugs the cuff and secures your ankle and heel. This technique will make it nearly impossible for your foot to slide forward or for your toes to bang against the front of the boot. It should also keep your feet from lifting or rising up out of the boot, which could otherwise lead to painful hot spots or heel blisters. Another common complaint is pain or irritation across the top of the foot. And that sensation can be amplified as your feet swell during the exertion of long days on the trail. I'm going to undo the laces. I'm going to show you a useful tip for relieving some of that pressure and providing just a little bit of extra wiggle room. As you can see, I've unlaced the boot entirely and I've begun to run that lacing along the perimeter rather than crisscrossing it in a traditional manner. Once I've brought that lacing up beyond the uncomfortable point of pressure, I'm going to go ahead and apply our trusty double overhand knot. At this point, I'm going to continue lacing in a traditional manner, crisscrossing across the front of the boot. What I've done here on the lower portion of the boot, I have created extra space in the forefoot. I've given that part of my foot some room to spread out, some room to breathe, if you will. and I've done away with that uncomfortable point of pressure. This is an especially useful technique for hikers with high arches or high volume feet. Don't be afraid to combine techniques or experiment. Depending on the eyelet placement of your boots or shoes, you may need a variation on the techniques we talked about, or you may simply find that a completely different technique is more comfortable for you. There are no fixed rules, and it is definitely worthwhile trying different techniques to find what works best for you, so you can worry less about your feet and more about enjoying your time outdoors.